Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys see me and hear me? Listen, StreamYard is acting like a dramatic gay bitch today. So I don't know if this is even working. I might be talking to fucking nobody. I have no idea. All right. I have no idea. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is it working? Listen, we got to make this quick because our guy's busy. He got things to do. Okay. He's got fucking Karen Reeds to free. All right. But let me start off normally by saying good evening, ladies, fellows, Scorty Bellows, homos, heteros, and yes, he's here, Mark Bederow. What up?
Scorty Bellows and that.
You didn't know I said that, and I was like, yeah, dude. We even got a card.
My name doesn't rhyme with much, but I'm happy to help with Scorty Bellows.
Well, we got the homos, we got the heteros who we're watching, then we got our Mark Bederow.
There we go. Happy to be here.
You know, I think it works. I don't know. But thank you for accepting my invitation. I know I asked you wicked last minute, but I was watching you. I've been watching you all week, and you explain things so perfectly that, like, I'm not a law guy. I don't know these things. Okay. I'm like worse than Jerry Callow lying about, you know what I mean? Lying about all this shit. And like Mona Lisa Vito being like, no, actually, you could do that. It's called disclosure, you dickhead, or whatever she said.
Oh, disclosure, you dickhead.
Oh,
yeah, that's
disclosure,
exactly
you dickhead. You can talk to all his witnesses. You can get a look at all his witnesses. They didn't teach you that in law school either. All right, before I quote the whole movie.
Did you know Marissa Tomei, who obviously was Mona Lisa Vito, her father was a Supreme Court judge in Brooklyn. Judge Tomei was a well-known judge in Brooklyn not for a long time, obviously, but yeah, he was kind of a legendary judge in Brooklyn when that movie came out.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
There you go.
Yeah, my father was a judge. My brother was a judge. My brother's father was a judge.
It's actually true. It's actually true from Marissa Tomei.
She was so good, and she won the award.
She won an Academy Award. Yeah,
that was unbelievable. And there wasn't a lot of women in that movie. There's one other one. Can you think about it? There's one other one.
Yeah, the old lady with the glasses,
Mrs. Riley.
Yeah.
And then there's one more that makes 1/2 a second appearance.
Not Ma. No, it's not Ma. Right when you talk. Nope. Who is it?
She does one thing. She does this, and that's it.
The juror.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why you're Mark Bederow. That's why you're you.
My cousin Vinny is actually. I don't like law movies as much as you'd think. I don't know if I'd even call that a law movie, but that is one of the movies for me. If it comes on, the clicker goes down.
Oh, done. If it's on, I'm watching it.
It's just an hour. It's not like The Godfather where like the day is lost. Because did you watch that? The last time we talked, I was bitching and moaning about The Godfather. Did you? No, I can tell you're looking down in shame. I can tell.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I didn't watch it. I'm sorry. Don't get mad at me. It's what? It's like 3 days long.
If you watch part 1 and part 2, you're going to need about 6 hours.
Yeah. I thought about it the other day, and I was like, no, I can't even do a live stream for more than an hour without getting irritated, dude. I can't sit down and watch 6 hours.
Yeah, it's not good for ADHD if that's what you're talking about. It's definitely not that, but it's good.
Do you think that's what I have?
Oh, I don't know. I don't diagnose, but if you like to do it in hours, that's good. That's short, sweet. That would be good. That's a trait lawyers aim to have. Get in, get out, hit and move on and get in and get out. Yeah, that's good.
All right. Okay, I'll consider it. I'll allow it. Okay. All right. I got questions, but I can't ask like the questions that everyone else has. I feel like I got really dumbed down questions because I don't know a lot of like what's allowed, what's not allowed. But one thing, and like usually things don't bother me, right? Like I'll watch and I'm like, okay, I can understand that, blah, blah. But I can't get over what happened with the sweatshirt.
The hoodie?
And yes.
What happened with the hoodie is almost certainly egregious prosecutorial misconduct in the worst case. And in the best case, incompetence to a level that would seem to be impossible for somebody like Hank Brennan, who, whatever you may think of his personality, is usually very well prepared, very methodical, very hardworking. And when you talk about the hoodie, you're talking about one of the most significant pieces of evidence in the whole case. I mean, John O'Keefe was wearing it. It has the 9 holes. It's over his arm injuries, the arm that hit. They claim that's related to the injuries. The defense has always claimed it's related to the dog bites. So whichever side of the equation you're on, the hoodie is critical, obviously. So the hoodie gets evaluated by the criminalist, if you will, back in 2022, 2023. They, scrape it. They claim they find glass fragments, although that's kind of not necessarily true. They cut it up. They're looking for stuff. They swab it for dog DNA around there. So obviously it's very important. And the criminalist, this Hartnett, you remember her.
And what is a criminalist exactly? Because I'm not.
They're like police department scientists, but they're not scientists like archetype nerd scientists. They analyze evidence. They analyze DNA. They look at crime scene stuff. They're just kind of like crime scene analysts, if you will. They look at the fibers. They're the ones who say the DNA matches. The glass looks like this. The trace evidence looks like that. They're just kind of some degree of science nerd that works for law enforcement. Every department has them.
Employed by the police department.
Yeah, they were. In this case, they work for the state police, which is fine.
Okay.
All that's wonderful. So the point is, she prepares a report, an analysis report, and in that report, it clearly indicates that there are some holes on the back of the hoodie because she cut it for whatever reason. I don't even remember why it is she did it, but so everybody knows that, and everybody at that time would be Adam Lally and what's her face, McLaughlin, right? The other prosecutor. This is, pre-Brennan, obviously. They know that the only issue with the hoodie is the right arm. Everybody knows the criminalist is playing with the back of it, doing whatever analysis. The issue is, are those dog bite holes? Are they consistent with shards of glass? That's all that matters. So this woman, I believe, testifies in a state grand jury. I think. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. She testifies in the first trial. She testifies at the second trial. The hoodie is introduced into evidence. You saw they put it in this, like, whatever that is, an acrylic or glass, whatever. They introduce it through Buchanan. He holds it up. There's this dramatic presentation. There are these 9 holes. In other words, by the time Brennan gets involved in the case, he knows the hoodie is a critical piece of evidence one way or the other. And he knows the defense is going to attack it and say those are dog hole bites. I mean, there's been voir dire on this now going back to last year. In other words, there's no way that he doesn't know what the significance of the hoodie is and that it's all in the right arm and that the back is nothing. It's got nothing to do with the case. So now fast forward to trial, and Dr. Wolf, right, testifies that every time I use the crash test dummies, if you will, any of those side impacts on the arm with the hoodie, even when the taillight would start to shatter at 20, 24 miles an hour, even 29, there was no damage to the hoodie that we used. And we got same make and model hoodie, same material. And so he concluded as part of his analysis that a significant fact was that a collision with your arm wrenched like this, clipped by a taillight, even an exploding taillight, is not going to rip the hoodie. So the only hoodie that rips is that last test they did where the rescue Randy or whatever got trucked at 29 miles an hour in the middle of the road, dead on collision, if you recall. And the damage, I mean, the whole windshield, the rear windshield blew out in that collision. The SUV had severe damage and the dummy just got launched and he got road rash because you can see him in the video just dragging on the pavement. And that particular hoodie had holes all over the place and black tar stains and all that. So when he cross-examines Wolf at the very end, he's saying, you told us about the holes and there's no holes in this. And the only holes you saw are the 9 holes. And he says he picks up the, what looks like a framed jersey that, I have in my basement of like athletes, you know, they have of a hoodie from a crime. And he doesn't show it to the defense. He goes up there and he says, look at the back. And he clearly implies to the jury that those holes could be from, because again, from January 29th, it's the actual hoodie. And he is clearly giving the jury the false impression that Dr. Wolf's conclusion is wrong, that there are other holes that could be caused, and it could be from this incident. And that would undermine his conclusion in substantial part, which in essence would make him almost a worthless witness, right? I mean, he's all in on there's no damage to the hoodie. And the defense finds out. They don't get to look at it in real time. But after a break, they look at the hoodie and they find these reports from Hartnett, which show conclusively that's clearly from after the fact, the state police did it. And the district attorney's office has known this since 2023. So you would have to believe only one of two things. Number one, and I think this is the logical conclusion, that Brennan tried to basically snooker the jury and snooker the defense and get Wolf tripped up and make the jury think that his opinion was screwed up and he made a mistake. And if you don't believe that, you give him the benefit of the doubt, then you'd have to believe that Brennan is a moron, and he's not. You may hate him, you may not like him, but he's not.
He's not.
And that was kind of his defense, his little sheepish defense that he read off his cell phone, probably that was sent to him by the appellate lawyer sitting in the back row there, was, you know, I made a mistake, I whatever, and I'm sorry. Guys like him, you do make mistakes at trial. It happens. Trials move fast. Every lawyer makes a mistake. It's impossible not to. But what you don't make a mistake on is knowing the significance of critical evidence. That's impossible that a guy like Brennan would not know the significance of what the hoodie was and what the hoodie isn't. And so it's my belief, it's my opinion, and I'm allowed to it, is that he deliberately and intentionally tried to mislead the jury by giving them the impression that those holes were similar to the holes on the front and came from the accident, and thereby undermined everything that Dr. Wolf had tried to say. And if I'm correct, that is egregious prosecutorial misconduct. It is presenting false evidence, and a lawyer can be severely sanctioned for that, severely. And they ought to get the instruction that they're asking for from the judge, which is that this is exactly how it happened and they were wrong. And if I'm Alan Jackson in summation, I would argue this and I would go after Brennan. It's fair game. And I would say that he tried not to fool me. He tried to fool you. That kind of argument, maybe not those exact words, but so that's the significance of the hoodie.
All right. I got a couple questions and a couple things to say.
Okay.
I do believe there was schnookering involved. I suspected schnookery the minute he went behind him and took it out like he was at the Louvre, putting something on display. Right. Ooh, what the hell is this? What the hell's going on here? You see this? What does this mean? What the hell does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
So back to Judson Welcher just for a quick second. Did you see the picture of him doing whatever he was doing to rescue Randy?
I noticed this the first time, and I saw it again. He was goosing him like heavy.
Yeah,
he had
like Rescue Randy was getting trucked. You know what I mean?
He
giving him a road rash.
If Rescue Randy was a live human being, you know, you could argue that crimes were being committed there. I mean, that was bizarre way to hold Rescue Randy.
At least in 10 states, you know. Hey, Randy, sorry I gave you road rash. Here's a cream for it.
It was a very
weird. It was weird. It was weird.
It was a very tender photo. He kind of was holding him, and I mean, it was, you know, I guess he was sorry to part with Rescue Randy by, you know, mashing his head on the concrete floor. I don't know, but
I don't think he's a romantic. I don't.
I think probably not. But
I think he was lying to Rescue Randy.
A lot of things that Welcher did were really weird. A lot of things he did were really weird.
Listen, it's saying my Wi-Fi is going out, so it might be like staticky for a second. But before we talk about Welcher, because I completely agree with you there, I think his word choice was odd. a lot of the words he chose to use had like they could be perceived as like sexual, and it was very weird to me. I felt weird around him.
I mean, like spreading his load, things
Yeah,
like
that boner, right? Like talking about his weight loss. That's when I was 220, but I'm not anymore. Like showing off his guns, being weird. But regardless of that, how come when Alessi brought that up, here's what I'm looking at it as a juror, right? If Wolf is getting questioned and it's by Hank Brennan and he's misleading him with the cutting information, how come Alessi had to be the one to show the jurors? It should have been Hank Brennan. And if I'm making that like distinction, he's the one that mentioned it. Now here comes Alessi holding it up, and all Bev is saying is those were not made. Those were only made on this day. It was not from that night. I'm like, this wasn't explained.
No. Well, the instruction was totally unexplained. There was no context. I'm sure the jury was like, "What's going on here?" I don't think I'd want Brennan holding it just because I don't trust him. But they should have been able to have, Bob walk up to the jury and specifically point out the holes. Look, they're obviously asking for a stronger instruction. She says she's thinking about it. She has to do it. It would be, Alessi, full props today when the judge said, well, you didn't even object in real time. And he knocked that answer out of the park by basically saying they didn't even show us the evidence. We had no idea what was going on. And as soon as we learned, we came right back. And she really has to do it. Either way, I think you're going to see Brennan get beat up on this in summation about that and the x-rays too, although that won't be personally linked to him. That'll, unfortunately for Brennan, or not actually, Welcher's going to take the heat for that.
It just seemed like two separate events. The questioning of Dr. Wolf of the cuttings, of the holes in the back, and then Alessi holding it up, they didn't seem to connect for me. I was like, if I'm watching this and I didn't know all the shit that I know about this, I would have like been sitting there been like, oh, okay. And
no, they need to know that at the time he did that the prosecution had full knowledge that Maureen Hartnett is the one who did that. And it was 2 years ago, but it was also several months after January 29th, 2022.
It just felt like it didn't connect for me. And I feel like, I'm like, they're not going to make that connection. They're like, I'm barely making it.
I agree. And of course, that'll be up to, in summation, for the defense to really draw it out, whether they attack the prosecution or not. But they've got to make it clear that that was a frivolous argument and that was an inaccurate statement. And I got to tell you something. There's a golden opportunity for Alan Jackson in summation, okay? One thing that Brennan likes to remind everyone in his real obnoxious way is facts matter. Facts matter. If I'm Alan Jackson, and this is how lawyers do it, I'm throwing that exact phrase right back in front of the jury to Brennan to say, ladies and gentlemen, just like Mr. Brennan told you in this trial 17 different times, facts matter. And that's my lead-in to the nonsense about the hoodie. And say, in that situation, facts apparently didn't matter, according to the prosecution. That's what I'm doing.
So you said that's how lawyers do it, but I've noticed this entire time that Hank Brennan will almost emulate what defense lawyers have said previously, and then he'll use I feel like he's using their tactics against other witnesses. And it does choke the witnesses up, but doesn't the jury see him saying parlance, right? Him being like, what's up with your resume after you just had Man Shannon on? Like
yes. And actually the best example is Rentschler getting cross-examined when he's trying to defend Welcher, and he's attacking Rentschler saying, you don't know when the accident was. You don't know this. You don't know that. And Rentschler's like, well, that's the point. Nobody knows. And that is the point. I mean, he definitely wasn't being thematic. And he's too good a lawyer not to do that. But I think, as I said to Kim last night, sometimes when reality sets in, morale starts flagging, you start to feel like this is going down the drain, your questioning tends to get lazier. And I think you saw this with Brennan, especially with the last two witnesses. He wasn't nearly as sharp. His questions were getting more desperate and lazier because he was thinking of cross-examining that particular witness but losing the forest through the trees. Like, you can't attack Rentschler by saying you and everyone else can't possibly know how this accident happened. That may be good for impeaching Rentschler, maybe, but when you have the burden of proof to show that there was an accident and the jury kind of sort of wants to know how it happened, I'm not sure that's a great tactic overall on a macro level.
Okay, I got that. And I got a few more questions about the sweatshirt thing.
Yep.
How come when Alessi went up there to argue it, right? And you could tell Bev was in a bad mood. She was in a bad mood at the end of the trial last time. Like at the end, she gets very, very like touchy. People say I have Stockholm syndrome because I tend to give her the benefit of the doubt in situations. They're like, just because you dress up like her, like you don't criticize her enough. And I'm like, whatever. How come he was like, they were going over what they were going to say. She's out there, she's writing it. She's like, okay, so we'll tell the jurors this. And then she looked at him, and because she thought that he wasn't listening, she was like, no, done, that's it. And then she shortened it. Was that a punishment? Like what happened there?
That was, everybody thinks that she's unfair, she's biased, and a lot of times she does give that appearance. That may have been single-handedly the worst example, because what led to that was Brennan engaging in, again, in my view, and I think certainly the defense's view, and I think most rational observers' views, really serious misconduct and needs to be punished for that. And the judge was not at all concerned about, as part of her analysis of the mistrial application, was this done on purpose or not? Okay. If you're thinking about giving a mistrial for some kind of stunt that might have prejudiced the jury, it's pretty significant to know, did he do that on purpose? That's factoring into my analysis of whether I'm granting a mistrial. She gave no grave concerns, I know that's her buzzword, about whether any of this was on purpose or not. She just kind of shrugged her shoulders and said, all right, what are we going to do? And then as she was kind of saying, all right, what are we going to do? You had the defense team huddling up. No doubt, by the way. I
didn't see that.
Well, we didn't see it, but I mean, that, they were off camera huddling up, no doubt talking about, we're not going to get a mistrial. They know that. She's not giving a mistrial.
Right.
But what remedy, what instruction, what curative instruction do we want? And she's talking and she looks over and they're talking. She loses her shit at them.
Yeah.
And says, all right, forget it. You're not interested in what I have to say. Let's just bring in the jury. We'll do it this, whatever. That was unjudicious, as they say. That may have been, in a case that has a lot of these examples, the most unjudicious moment, because there was almost certainly really, really serious prosecutorial misconduct where she couldn't have cared less and just took Brennan's very sheepish, I made a mistake, he didn't have his fight, he didn't attack Bob for saying you're basically an unethical dirtbag, which is what he said in the more polite terms. Usually he fights back. He just took it.
He did.
And the judge had no issues at all, but they're talking to each other while she's trying to figure out what to do and got upset. And that's terrible. It looks terrible.
It just felt like that was a very like intense moment of the sweatshirt, right? Of the, like, you knew that. Even Dr. Wolf said, well, I knew they were cuttings, blah, 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 and still trying to like, trying to schnooker them, right? Which that's my new word now. So she was like, working with Alessi on, all right, no mistrial, but we'll give an instruction. And then like, she was saying something, we'll tell them that this was blah, blah, blah. And it was like sounding okay. But then she saw them not paying attention. She was like, no, it was a direct, like, cause effect, like that. No, you're getting punished now. I feel like a punishment. Am I wrong or no?
I got nothing, because I think that's the only conclusion you can draw, because they discussed a much more vigorous curative instruction.
Yes.
She got angry, and then she neutered the whole instruction. So
and then
why did that happen?
Then the next day, when he goes, we're going to bring it up, she brushed it under. She goes, no, we're not doing that. No, not right now, blah, blah, right? And it was very weird. We didn't know what she was saying. I even had to Google it, and I was like, okay, it says when you give curative instruction, it needs to be remedied immediately and like clearly. That's what it said. I don't know the law. I don't know the rules.
No, you're right. Even AI can be right periodically. But you're right. And the problem is her immediate instruction was, I won't say it was useless, but it was confusing and not nearly as significant for what the misconduct was. Okay, what Brennan did was potentially prejudice the jury, okay, to the defense's disadvantage. That calls for serious remedy and potentially, if it's intentional, serious sanction. And she did none of that and didn't demonstrate any interest, any intellectual curiosity in whether it was on purpose. And if it was on purpose, which, by the way, all of the evidence tends to show that. I mean, you can't possibly believe that Hank Brennan did not know the condition of that hoodie that he mysteriously put in that display at all, hid behind the bench the whole day, and pulled out for some dramatic gotcha moment at the end of his cross-examination. And by the way, you've seen him do this before. You saw him do this in the pretrial scenario when he was bitching and moaning about the ARCA stuff that he claims he had to get from the feds, not from the defense. And what did he do on that day? Before he was wrong. He was obviously wrong. He did get it from the defense. But he gave a 15-minute wind-up story
very dramatic
that he must have practiced in this bathroom mirror that morning for great delivery. And the only problem with that story is that it was 100% unadulterated, unequivocal bullshit.
Yeah, it was.
Okay?
You could tell instantly. You tell instantly.
And again, you can argue in different ways, but if I'm arguing that mistrial motion and I'm arguing it's intentional misconduct, I'm marshaling the prior evidence until she tells me I don't want to hear it. I'm bringing that up and saying, this is not the first time, okay? He's done this before. And now he's done it in front of the jury, and he may have poisoned the jury to the client's disadvantage, and this calls for serious sanction. But you knew what this was going to be when 30 seconds into the argument, she stopped him and said, okay, I just, is lunch here? I mean,
Right. It felt very weird. And it didn't, I wrote this down because I don't want to forget it. It's supposed to be used, as you said, a curative instruction. And I do believe that these words in a courtroom have all this meaning, right? Because everything is Latin and it's all very this. There was no instruction. It was just a statement. She just stated a fact about the sweatshirt. She did not instruct the jury to do anything. She didn't instruct them to strike it. She didn't instruct them to disregard it. There was no instruction. She just said those weren't made on the whatever. It was made on this day. She didn't tell them to do anything. So it kind of, to me, felt like, okay, you're just telling me what's up then. You know what I mean?
Should have. At that moment, she should have also introduced those two reports that they were holding up, which prove that they were done in 2023. She should have told the jury right then. And, there is evidence that those holes were made by criminalist Maureen Hartmut on May 20th, 2023, and I'm instructing you, those are the facts, period. And she should have been stronger, but I think you will see in summation, they will come back to this and take a few shots at the prosecution as a whole during it as well. We'll see.
There was just no correlation between what she said, him holding up the sweatshirt. None. I'm this doesn't feel like, you got to point it out to these people. Again, as we've seen from jury interviews, and even us, we watch it, we know it, we don't pick up on everything. There's no way. You've been in here 30 days. There's no fucking way they're picking up on that. None. No, I'm sorry. Maybe one. Maybe one. You're right. Two.
It definitely was not worthy of the significant moment that the trial was at. Okay, that was a serious motion for a mistrial. That was.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are caught with your hand in a cookie jar trying to mislead the jury, okay, deliberately. I mean, that is as bad a lawyer no as you can get. I mean, if you were later found to have tried to present false evidence intentionally in a murder trial as part of trying to convict someone of murder, and you get brought up on ethical charges, every penalty is on the table. And I'm not saying that would happen here, but everything that a lawyer could face could be at risk if, a disciplinary committee thought that you literally tried to deliberately, intentionally present false or misleading evidence to a jury on a material fact in a murder trial. That's as serious as misconduct gets in this business.
And the way Lally said it today, like it felt like, and then we'll get off it. I know, I'm sorry. This is all I've been thinking about is this.
No, I'm glad you brought this up because he was disgraceful today on this.
Dude, I felt like he just got caught cheating and didn't know what to say. And he's like, you know, it happens. We all got eyes, and you weren't around, and she was there. It happens, but I'm sorry, and you know, whatever. Who cares?
So,
you know what you were doing last week. You know what you did last, like turning it back on them. Like it was just wrong.
So,
it didn't feel good.
Well, Lally, you know, he did the argument today, and of course, my first thought was, I even tweeted this earlier. It reminded me of Dirty Harry, another classic movie I like. When at some point in the movie, his partner says to some other cop, why do they call, you know, he's Harry Callahan. Why do they call him Dirty Harry? And they're basically like, anytime you have a dirty job to do, he's the guy. And so my first thought was like, here comes Lally. He's like, you know, Dirty Lally. They're going to put him in there with a straight face, and he's going to say, there's no evidence they had a dog in this case. And you're laughing and you're saying, my God, any shred of dignity, how do you argue that? But when you jump ahead to this point, it becomes clear why Lally was doing the argument, okay? Brennan didn't want to be doing the talking and defending himself and run the risk of saying something that could be harmful or making a materially false misrepresentation or representation or something like that. So having Lally do the argument, he's stammering, he's stuttering, he doesn't have any credible thing to say, but where he lands on is, well, maybe there was a mistake or a misstatement by the witness,
yes,
or the prosecutor. And right then and there, I said, you know what? We are, once again, this is shameful. This is disgraceful. And that's when the judge should have interrupted and said, are you fucking kidding me? We're now blaming Dr. Wolf,
right,
for being presented false evidence by the guy sitting next to you. It might have been the witness's fault. That was pathetic.
It just feels weird. It feels weird. And I feel like I honestly do, just from picking up on like cues of how they act. I feel like Bev is a little embarrassed of her like brushing it off, being like, no, I'm not going to do it that way. So she's been sweeping it under the rug, saved it to the very last today, pretended like she didn't remember it. Right. She's like, we're done. Right. Oh, that's right. Like pretended like she didn't remember it, had it. And she's like, okay, thanks. I'll consider it. Like it's been 4 days now. I think three going on 4 or something like that. But she brushed it off the second day. Didn't want to talk about it the third day. Like they keep avoiding it. We get further and further away from it. And I feel like it should have been corrected that second.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. I mean, you're right. The jury should have had that issue resolved to the point where it's over. They understand. And the concern is they don't understand, and it's been buried and forgotten. And the significance of what happened does seem to be somewhat buried from the other day.
It does, because I feel like it's all about feeling, all about the feelings you get, right? So if when he's asking that question to Dr. Wolf about the holes, if they got a feeling like, oh, fuck, what happened then that feeling is not going to, they might not remember what they talked about, but they'll remember the feeling of, oh, shit, maybe she did it. And then once they correct it 4 or 5 days later, they're not going to remember, oh, that's what caused my feeling to feel that way. They're just going to be like, oh, all right, okay, thanks for that. But they'll still have that feeling there. You know what I mean?
Listen,
I've thought about this so much.
No, well, you should, because you can't state this enough. They tried to mislead or could have misled the jury on critical evidence that could have entirely undermined the opinion of one of the most important witnesses in the case. I mean, this is the witness that the defense called, who was not even hired by the defense, who was called and did all these experiments to basically say that the condition of the taillight is not consistent with what you claim happened at a 24-mile-an-hour accident. In other words, he's saying she's not guilty in so many words. And if they were able to undermine that through these shenanigans, I mean, you have to remember, Brendan's the guy that they brought on, and when everybody was giving their introductory statements to the press about this, and, you know, his famous speech was, my number one charge is to, like, you know, look under every rock, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, for everything that we can find, and protect and ensure Karen Reed's right to a fair trial. Everything he said in that opening statement is 180 degrees of everything he did in a courtroom in this case.
He says the exact opposite about what he does, like
Yep.
completely.
Yep.
But I haven't been able to get that moment out of my head where it's like, dude, that really, because I think the jurors might have went to lunch actually, and then afterwards when they came back, so it's like a huge break, and then they see it, but there was no correlation made. It wasn't explained, and it definitely wasn't explained good enough, dude. Like,
this has been keeping you up at night, this issue. This is a big one for you.
It is because I usually give the benefit of the doubt to these people, and that's why everyone's like, Flipperhead even like said something to me one time. He was like, "You're a secret Commonwealth fangirl," and I'm like, "Bitch, shut up!" Like, I don't hate the state I live in. I love the state I live in, but I do give leeway. I'm like, oh, I can understand why this happened. I can see why they said that. No, I don't think it's that bad. But this moment, I was like, what the hell's going on? That's not cool.
Listen, he has made so many materially false statements, whether they're intentional or otherwise, throughout the course of these proceedings, designed to give their side an advantage. It's not just this, it's not just the ARCA thing, it's not just the X-rays. There was the time where he accused David of making statements to the press when, because he was doing a Zoom conference and the Chiron was Court TV because Court TV was airing the Zoom conference, and he accused him of that. Everybody knows this. He lied about me. He said that I was passing information like a vessel of communication between Karen and Aiden, as if I was like some middleman. That was going to be my role. And he said in court that I had done that and would do it again. And that was a goddamn lie. Absolute lie. He had no evidence of that. It never happened. This is what he does.
Dude, he's something else. He really is something else. So were you laughing when you were having your sandwich? Yeah, things were funny, right? Were things funny? You had a good time? You bring me up? Talk about me? What'd you say? You say that I'm ugly? You say that I smell? What'd you say? You say I can't perform under pressure? I can't get it up? What'd you say? And we're like, Brennan, dude, what's the matter?
That was flailing. What you saw with Rentschler, that cross-examination was like a temper tantrum type cross. That's flailing. That's throwing the kitchen sink. That's I've got nothing to do. And there comes a point in time, lawyers are human, believe it or not. I know that's like, everybody hates lawyers, but my point is, when something's going well, when something's not going well. And when you're in the moment and you do this for a living, and especially in a case like this with these lawyers, it's so high stakes. It takes incredible mental discipline to keep that out from creeping into your brain, whether it's going well or not, and like stay focused. But when you're getting battered and you're losing and so much is at stake for him, and you think, I'm telling you, it starts to creep in. Why did I do this? This is not going the way I thought. Holy crap. I'm really going to it starts to creep in. The doubt creeps in. Your focus wanes. You're tired. Morale gets low. And then I'm telling you, you get defeated and you get lazy and desperate. Not lazy in that you're not trying, but your mental discipline gets lazy. And the questions, look at his cross-examinations at the very end of the trial. Were they much better or much worse than the beginning? Much worse.
Way worse.
Because it starts to happen. And by the very end, and by the time he got to like La Posada, she stole his soul. I mean,
yes, I want to talk about that.
She stole his soul.
Yeah, I want to wait because I have another question first. But yes, I have to ask you about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of true then in My Cousin Vinny, when he gets doubtful about what he's doing, he's like, I don't know if I could do this. And she's like, when you're up there, you're doing your thing up there, I think you'll be really great.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't fuck up. So that does happen. All right.
Can we talk for like 10 seconds?
Done. We talked 10
One
minutes.
of the most underrated scenes in My Cousin Vinny is when the friend's legal aid lawyer gets up and he's just like, he can't talk and he gets all nervous. Great scene.
If I call my sister right now and I say, when I was little, what did I used to recite? And all I would do was when that was on, I look around and I go, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. And I would say it all day. Identical. Identical. That's a different guy, though. But when he was stuttering, was the best moment ever. He's like, I get a little nervous. He's like, you get nervous?
But maybe that's a bad example, though. It's funny. But when you're getting clobbered and there's so much at stake, if you lose mental discipline, that doubt and morale flagging sneaks in, and it does lead to desperate and laziness and lack of patience. So by the time he got his stole taken by La Posada, it just got to be an angry temper tantrum with Rentschler. I mean, that's what happened.
So you in fact were not wearing your prescription eyeglasses, and he goes, "Them reading glasses." Oh, dude, that is such a good movie. That is such a good movie.
What? Two Utes?
The 2 Utes. Everything that guy just said is bullshit. So it was either that, which I know you hate, or this. So I wore this ridiculous thing for you. You want me to hold you in contempt? There's a fucking surprise. What'd you say? Oh my god, dude. That's
really
the best movie ever.
Okay, yeah.
No, I know it very well. Very, very well. How about when they're at breakfast? They're opening up the menu and it just says breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Grits. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think? All right. So La Posada, dude.
Yeah, me dying here.
Dude, she is. Why don't you think he pushed with her? Why didn't he do what he did with everyone else with her? Because she like didn't even have to speak. It was one look and he cowered.
You know why? Because he knew her. Because we learned that he hired her 3 times.
Dude, I feel like it's like jail. You go in and you punch the biggest person in the face in front of everyone to let them know you're serious, dude. She goes, "Good afternoon, 6 minutes until."
Well, that was so much more effective. I mean, look, she made it clear, I don't like you, but I'm gonna, like, take your soul. Welcher tried something similar with Alessia. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Yes, I agree.
But it didn't
land.
It didn't land. It didn't flow. It felt contrived and obnoxious. And now she knows him, and he just had nothing with her. And he made her actually more sympathetic, more credible, more likable when he tried to touch the whole station fire.
Yes.
That. I mean, that was such a misfire. That's probably not the word choice for this.
Perfect word.
But
Perfect
fire.
word. But
no.
Yeah. Yes. So, okay. So when, like, I feel like she just instantly, like, smacked him up. She was like, "I couldn't hear you. I don't know. Your hand was in front of your mouth and you were leaning over like you got bad posture. What? No one taught you how to stand up straight? Can you fix your back, please?" Just instantly cutting this guy down. I'm like, oh God, dude, she doesn't care. And then they were arguing, like, can we bring in, I want to bring in this trial or whatever, and then the Rhode Island fire. And in my mind, I'm like, because she didn't allow, Bev was like, "I'll let you talk about the fire." And everyone's like, "What? She's so crap, blah, blah." And I'm like, no, dude, let him, because she's going to eat it up. And it's like, Prince has a quote that's like, "Those who play me play themselves. You try to play me, you just end up playing yourself. Like, I'm unfuckwithable. You can't touch it." Dude, I felt so light after that day. I was like walking around singing that I felt like, I was like, dude, it was so good.
I called her what you would call a wrecking ball. I mean, she is the kind of witness who just comes rolling down the mountain, and every theory that the DA has medically, she just barrels into one and bangs the other and knocks them all down. She literally covered the lack of consistency with a car accident. The eye injury could not come from a car accident, but it did not come from the contra coup either. So it had to be something different. She talked about animal because, this judge would not allow dog, but animal's okay, whatever. She obviously got rid of the cause of death, about hypothermia, which supports their theory. She was adamant about there would be these injuries, bone fractures, tissue damage. She was solid on that. She said that the smash on the back of the head did have a ridge, did have a pattern shape injury, and would not be consistent with just hitting the ground, on the grass. Of course, that's when Brendan said, "Well, what if there were like little rocks, I mean, again, burden of proof, and you're saying there could have been little pebbles, that not a strong position, but she just nuked them. I mean,
I couldn't believe it. Didn't need all these big buzzwords. Didn't need a language. Didn't need to reenact anything. Didn't need anything except her and herself and the truth. And she served it fucking up. And he felt like a little idiot. And I was there like, oh my good. I'm watching it, and when she was like, well,
also,
see that. God.
Just, I didn't mean to cut you off. She has a trait that not every doctor has. Certainly, testifying doctor. She took very complicated medical concepts and really put it in plain English and explained to jurors who have no clue in a way that people like us could understand it more. She was, I mean, of all the medical people who testified, she was far and away the best at explaining in plain language what she's seeing medically and what it means in the real world to regular people in English.
And her statements were layered. Like, not only was she explaining it in normal ways, she's telling you exactly what happened, while at the same time, just by her tone and inflection, making Hank Brennan look like the biggest idiot alive for even asking that question. She was doing 8 things at once with her testimony. It was beautiful. It was, and he was like, no further questions. Mr. Brennan, even no, pass, you're done. Like, dude, she wrecked him.
Yeah, no, she was, I mean, I said this online too. That was like a very watershed moment. They're screwed and they know it, because, I mean, this case is one of one for a lot of reasons. It's just so rare, but there are 3 forensic pathologists who testified, you know, Scorty Bello, obviously, La Posada, and, you know, Dr. Russell used to be I mean, she's like done everything basically. Mm-hmm. 3 forensic pathologists testify, and all 3 said we don't see injuries consistent with a car accident, including the one who testified for the prosecution. She wouldn't give them a manner of death. Two of them said, I see dog animal bites that are consistent. The third said, I can't exclude it. It's possible. Where the hell are they going in winning the case when you literally have every single medical doctor on the defense side of the ledger? I mean, they don't even have anyone willing to say this is a homicide, let alone what type of homicide. I've never seen a murder case brought where the prosecution goes to court literally with 0 medical evidence and their own medical examiner blows up their whole case.
I mean, like, I just think it was powerful. She wasn't entertaining. She wasn't even entertaining any other thing, which was, like, to me, like, really struck when she was like, well, it wouldn't matter because that's not what happened. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Like, she wasn't like, well, it's because this would have meant this and this would have meant this. She didn't do any of that shit. Like, and that's what felt so beautiful about it. It's like, she was not acknowledging the bullshit. She's like, I don't know why. And I'm not even going to respond. I'm just going to say, this is what, like, it was so powerful. It was so good. I've watched it 3 times.
She was great. I was stunned. I had no idea. I knew nothing about her. And not expecting it. She was the Rhode Island doctor who, you know, was somehow involved in that. That's all I knew about her.
The Rhode Island doctor, who cares? She cares.
Who cares? She turned it around.
She goes, well, no, that's what they wrote in the papers. But she, like, again, I'm like, dude, you're trying, but, like, the more you try to dig with her, the more she's going to end up kicking that dirt right in your face.
She did. She really did. Yeah, no, she was, she could not have been stronger for them. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, dude, do you have anything else to say? Those are the 2 things I wanted to talk about. And I know you're the one to, like, lay it out. I understand when you say things. And thank you for taking the time to discuss it.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Whatever you want. I've got like 10 or 15 minutes before I have to go jump to something else. I've got
So what do you watch? What are you fucking watching on TV these days? What's going on?
Okay. My wife wanted to watch, I don't know why, she stumbled on this, the Better Sister. I'm like 3 episodes in and I'm telling her I'm hanging on the frame. I'm ready to bail, and this may be for you only. The one we're watching now is 9 Perfect Strangers.
Ooh,
you know that one?
No.
It's quirky. It's weird. It's almost White Lotusy weird. It's not in the same vein as that, but it's on its second season. It's Nicole Kidman, who I love. I do
too. I do too.
So she's the star, and it's got like an ensemble cast each season. She's like a kind of a quirky, psychedelic, holistic. Whatever. It's on Hulu. You might like it. I see someone in the chat just said, watch The Americans. I did. I love The Americans. I watched that years ago. I watched Homeland too at the same time. That was weird because they're kind of like the same thing. But
what did you think of Homeland?
It started out spectacular. And it was good for the whole show. I didn't like the end. I didn't like
the end.
Okay, then I don't want to give it away. I thought I actually really liked Homeland a lot.
We discussed this last time. Remember, I haven't seen the last episode of Ozark either because I don't like things to be over. I have a problem saying goodbye.
You watched Ozark and then you just stopped?
I've watched every episode except the last one.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah, because once I watch it, then there's no more. There's no more.
You don't want to know, or are you gonna Google and see? You just don't want to know.
Just let me just live. It's like Shameless, dude. When I pop it on and I'm in it and I'm watching it, I'm in Chicago. I'm one of the Gallaghers. I'm drinking with Frank. Like I don't want to say goodbye yet. I got a problem. I got a problem saying goodbye, dude, with all these things.
See, Ozark I like because it's the closest thing I've ever found, because nothing's ever going to match it or be the same, but it's the closest thing I found to Breaking Bad in terms of formula, genre. I was stunned at how well I liked Jason Bateman in that as Marty Byrde, right? Did I tell you this? My phone ringer is the crickets. That's because of Marty Byrde from Ozark. I'm like, I like
yes, you did. Yes.
I was very hesitant to watch that. I'm like, he's not really my kind of, but he just played that like calm, cool, collected psycho really well. What's her face? Julia Garner is just, as psycho Ruth Belmore, right? Remember,
Ruth Langmore.
Ruth Langmore,
right?
My God.
Yeah.
Langmore. No, you're right. I didn't really know much about her, and I know now she's become really, wins awards. She unbelievable. She played just the white trash, dangerous woman like to a T. And it's kind of funny because she's like, I think she's like some like Upper West Side Jewish girl playing white trash Ozark, So that was interesting. But I can't believe you don't watch the end of it. That's
Darlene Snell was my favorite character in that whole show.
She was awesome.
She was the best. She was the fucking best. Going to make you a lemonade and then coming back with a gun was so good.
I feel like I'm repeating myself. That's just an early sign of, you'll bear with me. Because if we talked about Ozark, one of the most single shocking moments I've ever seen in TV was that scene in Ozark. I think it was the end of season 1 where, she just decides to take things into her own hands with the mid-level cartel guy. We talked about this, I think. To say that I never saw that coming, that was like Tarantino-like, just absurd violence out of nowhere, that kind of thing. So I thought that I've always remembered that. But yeah, you've got to watch the end of Ozark. You have to see it through, no?
Maybe I'll watch it tonight. Maybe it is time to say bye.
You can do it. It's okay. It's old already, and it'll be fine. There'll be other stuff.
You'll be all right, Jim.
You'll be all right.
Things are going to be looking up.
It's not real. It's okay. It'll be fun. It's okay. Go ahead. You can do it.
Dude, am I all right? Like, what does it matter with me? I can't finish a fucking show. Like, what is the matter with me?
Well, on some level, I admire your discipline to watch a show like that and say, I'm cool with not seeing how it ends. I can't fathom that.
I don't want the ending to happen. So it's like, I just won't watch it then.
Well, what about? Well, are you going to watch the end of this trial? Is it okay if it ends, or?
That's another thing. You know what I mean? That's another thing. Like, for a split second after La Pasado got off, and I felt like I was singing in my car. My windows were down, and I finally listened to music instead of listening to more stuff about the trial. I was so happy, and I was like, this might be what like 1/16 of it's gonna feel like if they're like not guilty. I'm like, that would be amazing. But am I gonna be mad if there's a part 3? Yeah, probably. But in the beginning of the second trial, I was like, wait, this is gonna be over soon. Oh, like I'm gonna like as much as I want this to work out, like I'm gonna miss this. But I think it's like being like in high school. It's like by the time you're a senior, you're ready to graduate. So I think like it's time, but I'm gonna miss it.
I don't know if there would be a part 3, even if there was a hung jury. There are so many other factors that could play into that: political, change in DA, and also, civilians with lance torches and pitchforks. I mean, you tried it the first way, where we're just going to use hacks in the DA's office and the state police. That didn't work. So now we're going to spend like drunken sailors and buy lawyers for $1 million, hire experts for $500,000, other expenses. That didn't work. At what point do the taxpayers say, I can't sign up for this?
Right. There are more fights, I feel like.
Yeah, I think there will be severe resistance and pressure. Also, when you get hung juries, maybe Norfolk County, it's not the case, but most sensible prosecutors would also be influenced by the breakdown. I mean, suppose you find out that it's a hung jury and it's 11-1 to acquit. There isn't a sane prosecutor in the world who would say, I'm doing trial 3, when we already know they basically acquitted on 2 counts the first time. We retried it. Now they're 11-1 to acquit, on all counts. I mean, we're never getting a conviction here. So at what point have we it's over? So I'm not so sure there would be.
Questions. I got questions now on that statement because I understood about 60% of what you said. So hung jury means you can't come to a decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get to decide whether or not you get to which like 11-1 that's still hung.
Yeah, it's got to be 12 out of 12 in either direction. Yep, or there's no verdict. Right.
Wow, what a foolproof fucking system we have. Okay, so like this is so outdated. Like this is so outdated. Am I like? Come on, this is so outdated. 12 people you don't know deciding the rest of your life.
There has been discussion, and there might even be still a state down south where, they want to go to non-unanimous verdicts. And I think there was one case that went to the U.S. Supreme Court. It was probably from Louisiana or Mississippi or Arkansas, someplace like that, where they allowed for the imposition of the death penalty by a non-unanimous. In the death penalty case, I don't want to get too out of control. There's a sentencing phase. Like the jury has to agree unanimously on that as well, even if you found them guilty. And it was this Louisiana case, I think it was, and it was like 10-2 or whatever the hell the number was in favor of death. And the U.S. Supreme Court said, yeah, we can't do that if you don't have unanimous. But yeah, it's still almost everywhere has to be unanimous on everything.
I think I'm secretly an anarchist, but all right. Aside from that, so you said that there's not a prosecutor in the world who would take a trial 3. So it's up to the Commonwealth and the prosecution, and that would be most likely Adam Lally and Hank Brennan if they want to do it again. So what do they do if they don't want to do it again?
Michael Morrissey.
What does that mean?
The district attorney would be charged with the responsibility of deciding what to do. Now, the question is, by the time of a third trial, is he even going to be the district attorney? If there were a third, I don't think there's going to be a third trial, but if there were, even if that was a year from now, he's running for election. He's being challenged for the first time. Obviously, if he's running in a serious race, I mean, Karen Reed is going to be the issue. I mean, because the other candidates, on top of saying the corruption, the injustice, part of being a DA is also using resources responsibly. And Morrissey is really politically vulnerable he pays special prosecutors like a drunken sailor. I mean, right now he's paying Brennan, he's paying Cosgrove. He's paying Mello. I mean, just all over the place. He's paying special prosecutors. He's buying all these experts when the state police have their own accident reconstruction. He's spending all this money. And if he's willing to do it again, at what point does a candidate say, this is a waste of limited resources? We need to do public safety. And if I spend all this money, hunting down Karen Reed as Moby Dick, the big white whale that I have to harpoon if I'm Marcy, I'm wasting resources on keeping communities safe and things like that. So it becomes complicated politically.
All right. So 2 things I want to bring up, because you said they're wasting a lot of money. This goes back to what I said about Hank Brennan, dude. And he was like talking to Rentschler, and he's like, you get paid? How much they pay you? In my mind, I'm like, how much are you getting paid, bitch? How much is this? Like, the state that you're talking about is wasting way more money than Karen and her team, who are literally like crowdfunding, basically, like, to come up with this stuff and like get what we can get. So, all right, so it goes to the DA, and what does the DA have? What are his decisions to make?
He's the elected official who is charged with prosecuting crime in that county, and he decides whether to seek a retrial or not. I mean, that's
or not means what? What does that mean, or not?
Dismiss the indictment, just in the interest of justice, because we've taken our shot twice. It's clear in our view that we're never going to get a verdict in this case. And as a matter of, better government and public policy, we're done. Now, I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll ride this out as far as he can, but you don't know that. I mean, if it's going to politically harm him, I mean, I think he's politically dead man walking anyway after this, but we'll have to see.
Politically and congestively, heart failurely. I mean, look at the guy, dude. He's not long for this earth. He's not long for this earth, dude.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
You don't have to. You don't have to. I'm saying it. I don't think he's long. I don't think the heart goes to all the extremities. I don't think it works. It has to pump a lot. There's a lot of alleyways that it has to get through, dude. I don't think. I don't know if he's gonna be here forever. I don't know if he's one of us for a long time. So, all right. So if they can't come to a decision, then it would be. So how long? When do you say it's a mistrial? How long? If they're like deliberating, when is it the time? When is it the time to be like, all right, you can't come to a decision?
Well, I mean, as you saw last time, they send notes. They say we're deadlocked. The judge says go back to work. They come back. They say they're deadlocked again. You give them the what in Massachusetts they call the Tui Rodriguez charge. In New York and most places you call it an Allen charge, which is just kind of a pep speech to go back there and do your best. And if they still can't do it and it goes on, there comes a point where it has to be a mistrial.
Tui Rodriguez charge stands for giving someone a pep talk.
In essence, it's telling jurors, keep at it. It's important, but these charges can be very dangerous because you can't give the impression that you're forcing people and pressuring them to do something they may not do, lest you create an appellate issue if a defendant gets convicted. So it's a tough balance, but it goes on for a period of time. But eventually, if they come back and say we can't get a verdict, then you can't get a verdict.
Is there like a rubric or like a syllabus for how to discuss things amongst the jury, or do they just sit at a table and say talk?
No, I mean, it's interesting because didn't she last time give an instruction about like, don't take a straw poll in the beginning? I've never heard anything like that. Normally, what a judge ought to do is give them what I would call the rules of the road, listen to everyone's opinion, be open-minded, but don't sacrifice, just because, and then just go deliberate, like not monitor, like telling them how to do it. I couldn't believe she did that. I don't know if she's doing it again. Probably.
What's a straw? What does that mean? I told you I don't know much.
No, it's fine. That would be something where, like, if the jurors go in there and they say, all right, anybody, who votes for guilty, and like 12 hands go up and say, oh, we're done. It's not a terrible thing to just say, if everybody puts their hands up and you say it's like, say it's like 10-2, we think not guilty. I mean, that doesn't bother me. I mean, they still have to be honest to the process, go through the evidence. But what it does is it can kind of lead to a good discussion to say, you kind of look at the people who are the two and say, well, what's bothering you? Tell us, like, your view when you say, like, you think she's guilty based on what? And that can lead to a discussion. So I don't know that that's a terrible idea. But either way, the judge should not be telling them how to do it. That's the role of the fact finder. They can do whatever the hell they want. If they want to say she's guilty, but let's just stick around, or not guilty within 30 minutes, and let's just stick around for another hour because I'm hungry and I don't want to buy my own lunch, they can do it and you'll never know, whatever. But when the judge starts telling jurors how to do deliberations and not do it, that's, I don't like that.
I mean, I think she just likes to have a little, like, things to be in control. Like, look what she did when she doesn't think people were looking at her and talking to her. Like, she has overreactions to minor situations. And I think, like, that's her courtroom. All right. Like, and I think if you don't play by her rules and, like, recognize that she's queen, that's going to piss her off, which that's not illegal. I don't think that's illegal.
No.
Yeah.
She's probably pissed because it's not her courtroom. The big one is, and she's stuck in the closet. But, you know.
Oh, that's not her courtroom?
That little closet? Oh, my God. No. I mean, have you ever been down there in that courthouse?
No, I'm petrified.
The main courtroom actually is nice. I mean, the building is
the one from the summer.
Yeah, that's a nice courtroom. The one they're in now is shockingly small. I mean, it's a closet. I mean, everyone is huddled on top of each other. It's insane that the biggest trial in the country is occurring in a room that's probably like 10 by 10, or it certainly feels like that. I mean, they have a shower curtain hanging to cover the window. I mean, it's not very nice.
What do you think of the curtain?
It's pretty embarrassing, I think.
You think it's weird? Why did you think she picked it? Like, did they tell someone to go out and get it that day?
I don't know. I don't know if that's to block out the sun or to block out the noise, but could we do it in a way where, I don't know, we get some air conditioning that actually works, and maybe not use the shower curtain to block the window, but
to a certain degree of certainty, I think it needs to go. Okay, I think it's annoying. I don't like the color. I don't like the color. Do black. Do all black.
Well, the green is a strange selection.
Well, she likes her seafoam green. You see her cup.
I'm okay with the seafoam green.
Me too.
I have a Yeti that's seafoam green.
One
of those chug ones that you take on a walk. But I've got 2 minutes, and then we'll do this. This is fun.
This is fun. Yeah, thank you for coming, dude. I was watching you on Kim, and I'm like, no, I'm like, because I feel like everyone asks you, and I'm like, I'm not gonna bother the guy, dude. He's probably busy. But then I'm like, no, he's the only one I know that I can be like, can you explain this to a regular old mofo like me? And I could not let go of that sweatshirt thing.
Yeah, no, tonight's fine. I'm the only one home. Everyone's running around doing their things, so it's actually, it's fine.
All right. Thank you, Mark Bederow. Now get the fuck out of here. We'll see you later.
Fuck out of here. We'll talk. Be good.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, come on again, dude. Come on again.
Yeah. All right. Be well.
All right, I gotta say bye to these people. Thank you, Mark. Guys, Mark Bederow. Mark Bederow. I don't know what's he doing next. I have no idea. I don't know. I didn't ask. None of my business, actually, what he's doing next. But yeah, dude, I have not been able to get that moment out of my mind. And usually I give the benefit of the doubt. And usually I'm like, I can understand that. But not addressing those cuts in the sweatshirt for me was a really big deal. It just felt very I felt like it's blatantly lying. Because I guarantee you, if you individually poll the jurors, maybe 1.5 to 2 would have been able to be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. No. All right, let me say bye. Listen, I know I saw people up in here with the questions and the big all caps and the emojis. Love you guys, but I really had to get these questions out. Okay. And Mark Bederow, he answers these questions all the time. You guys do you think the jury pool, do you think that the jurors are all people AI generated for corruption? What if one person, I heard that it was Sean McCabe in a mask, and I think that that's Jen in a Kerry suit dressed up as a juror. What does he think? I love you guys, but I'm not asking him those questions. Okay. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that out of here. Love you, but I'm not fucking doing it. All right. Oh, also tomorrow, dude, we're going to do the morning show. We do a morning show here at 7 in the morning, give or take 10 minutes. And tomorrow we're going to be doing it right from the buffer zone. I'm getting right to it from the buffer zone. Yeah, so we'll see is if you're in Dedham, stop by. Come on down. Come on down. Listen, it might be an iconic day. We don't know. But it'll start at around 7. Also, if you are a student of mine in the morning, you might get one of these. Maybe got a couple of these to give out. I don't know. Room 103 Student of the Month Awards. Who knows? Who the hell knows? All right. Let me read some of these things and I'll say goodbye. I'll send you on your way. Normal mom. Just a normal mom. My favorite people in the same place. Figure out how to write this into a song so I can add it to my playlist. Love you both. Thank you so much, normal mom. Sherry, Mick. Whose idea was it to put the hoodie in the display like a Celtics jersey? Did Hank plan that act all along? Hank, what are you doing here? I don't know, dude. It was weird. The first moment I saw it, I thought it was weird. I'm like, what are we at the Louvre? What the hell's going on? Like, be a little respectful. You know, it felt disrespectful. It did. Richard, Mr. Bederow, Dr. Renshaw said, if you're hit by a car, you need some distance to travel 20. Doesn't that require John to be 10 into the street? Richard, next time he comes up, so if he asks a question, I know Bederow hates super chats, by the way. If you guys don't have Twitter, get it. Hates super chats. Never even mention it in front of him. He'll kill you. But if you donated money to the school to ask him a question, then I will write it down. And maybe I'll ask him next time he's on. I don't know. No, but I can't answer that. Black Kia guy, my homie. Thanks for all you do. Tomorrow's going to be good. It was a very good day. I didn't even use my AK. Tomorrow's going to be a good day. I feel it. Emily, see, my younger sister, what are you doing sending me money? Get the fuck out of here. You two are the best. Question for Bederow. Hun, you're already a day late and $1 short. Up Shit's Creek without a paddle. I can't help you there. He's already gone. I'm sorry. And he hates super chats. Like, he hates them. So, my bad, dude. My bad. Sweet Sue, can something be done about the egregious I don't even know those words, Sue. Hun, I don't even know half of those words. But I'll write it down and ask him. Normal mom, what are the chances that the holes in the back of the hoodie? Again, these questions are too smart for me. I don't get into the what ifs and what if that. I can't do that. I go based on feeling, but no dog DNA. I mean, because they tested like what? Half of a fucking cotton, like one piece of the sweatshirt, and they like threw it at someone. It was like, here, can you test this? Boom. And it went through like a washing machine cycle 10 times. Like, that's probably why. Because the whole thing sucked. Because they picked up blood in a Solo cup. Because they used a fucking leaf blower and then doubled down and said it was good. Like, who the hell knows why this shit happens? EKG. All the female doctors have been putting up with spanky types for decades. Love that point. He didn't even learn from his own Scorty Bello. Only needed AJ claps for effect. Spanky can't handle the truth. A man is dead or dying on your front lawn. Your sister's not answering the phone. Thank you, EKG. I appreciate that. Madeline Wags. How about Hank? How about how Hank comp are the brain to tofu? Oh, compared how the brain is tofu. She was grossed out by him. And she was like, gross. And she was like, depends on what kind of tofu. There are levels to the tofu game, Hank. Fucking idiot. God, I loved her. Bevy mentioned the need for extra security. I didn't. Okay. That I caught. And I was like, what's that about? Does that mean the fix it? Okay, that's where you get all Roxy. I'm going to go ahead and explain what this means for those of you who are new here. Remember when the jurors went to go look at 34 Fairview and there was a rock that said Albert on it and all of the internet was like, 911? What's going on? What's that? That was wicked annoying, right? Because it's like, we don't know. All we know is that it's a rock. And that's about it, right? We can't speculate. We don't know what the hell is, we don't know. We don't know. That's what I call going Roxy, right? You go and getting all rocks. Like, just stick to right now, breathe, stay in the moment, and we'll take it. We'll take it little by little. Does that mean the fix is in for guilty? Do you think Bederow would be like, and I'm being dead serious. Do you think Mark Bederow would be like, that's it? That means the fix is in for guilty. That's what that means. Yeah. She said, she said security. Get me the president. Yeah, it's the security. It's the guilty security thing. Yep, just like the one back in 1994. All over again, hon. Like, I don't know. Who the hell, like, who knows? I don't think so, though, hon. I don't think so, and I don't think it's good to be thinking that way. Don't let yourself think that way. You can't let yourself think that way. You got to wait. Wait. Cross bridges when we get to them. Don't create bridges that don't need to be made. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it'll be okay. We got this. Don't worry. Brandy Scout came home. Oh my God. All right. Brandy Churchwell. I got a message from her last night. Scout, the cat, the gay cat that I love, that I'm going to go take, was missing. And I literally, I'm not even kidding. I'll show you right now. Wrote down in all kinds of papers where she could call, who to look. I'm like, download this app. Get this. We're getting that cat home. You get your ass out there. You find that fucking dog. When you got a dog, you got to think you got a pet. You got a responsibility. You don't just sit on your ass like a goon away. You get your ass out there. You find that's from Billy Madison. Dude, I'm so excited. I'm so happy for you. I told you he would, dude. Cats are wild. They're crazy. They're resilient. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, Brandy. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Oh, that made my night. See, good signs all around, guys. Good signs all around. Wow, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, he's a gay cat, dude. He's angry. You know what I mean? He runs away, sleeps with everyone in the neighborhood, dude. Like, hits everyone as they come in. He's an angry gay cat. You know, I get it. So am I. All right. Scout was probably halfway to your house. I'm coming home to his real mother. He's like, where's my gay mother? Where's my gay mother in Massachusetts? I'm coming. All right, guys, have a wonderful night. Melanie, hon. No room. Melanie, hon. Buffer zone tomorrow. I'm leaving my house at 5:30. We're doing the morning show from the buffer zone. Well, not exactly the buffer zone. In and around the vicinity of. All right? Going out there, we're seeing the people. We're kissing hands and we're shaking all the babies. Gotta get some fucking rest. I don't even know anyone coming up to me and saying, you look tired. All right, love you guys. Thank you so much. Give this a like. Give this a subscribe. Hold on, let me yell. Madeline, what time has it been every day? Madeline, what time is it every day for the past 33 days? What time have we started, Madeline? Goodbye. Have a good one. I'll see ya. Let me see if I can see you out on a nice little fun clip. Madeline. Oh, all right. Here you go. Bye, guys.
I would never. I'm a dumb top. Girl, bye.
Oh. Bye. Bye. Get out. Get out. Get out.
Girl, bye. Bitch, listen.